My name is Nate Chanthavong, and this is how I stitched my own path, tearing my family's in the process. It began with one night, a night that still burns bright. I stood at a Miami Thai night market under strings of lanterns, showcasing my fashion designs on a pop-up runway. The crowd cheered, but then I saw my dad shoving through, his face a storm of rage. "Nate, you chose this over us?" he roared, silencing the applause. I'd skipped the 20th anniversary of our family's dental clinic to be here, defying their orders. "You've shamed us," he said later, voice like a blade. I stood tall. I was done being their mold, but that night wove a conflict I wasn't ready for. Let me take you back. I grew up in Miami's Little Thailand, where curry scents mingled with ocean breeze and temple gongs echoed. My parents, Somchai and Nari Chanthavong, came from Bangkok in the 90s, building Chanthavong Dental from grit. My dad was the dentist, his hands steady with drills. My mom managed the office, her smile calming patients. They were community pillars, hosting Songkran festivals, funding temple repairs. To them, family was pride, and I was its keeper. I was the perfect son, straight A's, filing charts after school, chanting prayers in Thai at home. I was Nathaphon, bowing to monks, eating khao soi with my yai's tales of Thailand. But at school, I was Nate, the kid who lived for fashion, sketching bold designs, dreaming of runways. I'd sneak to fabric stores, crafting outfits inspired by Thai silk and streetwear. Fashion was my thread, but my parents saw it as a fray. They had one plan. I'd be a dentist. "It's stable, Nate," my mom would say, voice firm. "Fashion's for dreamers who fail." My dad was harsher. "Clothes? That's Western nonsense. You're Thai. Honor us." To them, my passion was a betrayal of Fitafat, family duty. But every time I prepped exam rooms or studied biology, I felt like I was unraveling. The tension grew in high school. I got into University of Miami, where my parents thought I'd study pre-dentistry. Instead, I took fashion design electives, hiding my sketches. My best friend, Zara, a Cuban-American DJ, was my ally. "Your designs pop, Nate," she'd say, eyeing my portfolio. "Don't let them cut you." I wanted to believe her, but the lies weighed heavy. The breaking point came in my sophomore year. Miami's Thai community hosted a night market with a pop-up runway for local talent. Zara's crew organized it, and she pushed me to show my designs, bold Thai-inspired streetwear. "This is your moment," she said. I'd never shared my work publicly. My parents called fashion shameful for a Chanthavong, but I was tired of hiding. I told myself I'd do it, just once, and they'd never know. I tried to cover my tracks, saying I was at a study group. My mom nodded, but my dad was swamped with the clinic's anniversary gala, a community milestone. The market night, my nerves were raw. The runway was a stretch of wood, lit by lanterns, music thumping. I wore a black tee, cargos, my designs on models. The crowd roared as my pieces, silk bomber jackets, sarong skirts, strutted out. When Zara hyped my name, I felt alive. Then my dad appeared. A temple friend had tipped him off, spotting me at the market. His shout froze me. The cheers faded, eyes on us. "You lied!" he bellowed. "This is more important than family." "I'm not your robot," I snapped, voice shaking. "This is me." My mom arrived, tears streaming. "Nate, why? We built this for you." "Because I'm suffocating," I said, tears burning. "I'm not your dentist. I'm Nate." My dad's voice was steel. "Leave. You're not welcome." I didn't go home. I ran to Zara's, her mom letting me stay. "You owned that runway," Zara said, but it felt like defeat. I'd woven my truth, but torn my family. I didn't know how deep that rip would go, or what secret would mend it. I thought unveiling my designs at that night market would weave me whole, but it unraveled my family. My dad's roar, "You chose this over us?" echoed in his skull, and my mom's tears stung worse than any critique. I was Nate, chasing my patterns, but also Nathaphon, the son who'd shamed his kin. Miami's Thai community whispered, Ajarns muttering at the temple, vendors gossiping over some tam. My parents carried the disgrace, their pride frayed. I felt guilt, but I buried it. They wanted a dentist. I wanted to create. Home was a closed door. I stayed at Zara's, her mom letting me crash on their couch. "You owned that runway, Nate," she said, tossing me a towel. "What's next?" I didn't know. My dad's command to leave felt like a cut thread, but I was too stubborn to mend it. Zara kept me tethered. "Your designs are fire," she'd say, flipping through my sketches. Her faith stitched me up, but it couldn't patch the hole my family left. School was my haven. I dove into UM's fashion design program, sewing prototypes, studying textiles. My night market collection, Thai silk meets streetwear, got buzz in class. Zara posted a video of it online, hitting 30,000 views with comments like, "This is next level," and "Who's this designer?" It felt like a rush, but every view reminded me of my parents' silence. They hadn't called, and I hadn't either. Then came a break. Zara's mentor, Lila, worked at a Miami fashion co-op, Style Haven. She'd seen my video and offered me a chance to pitch a capsule collection for their spring pop-up. "You've got vision, Nate," she said over mango sticky rice. "This could get you noticed." It was my dream, real buyers, a portfolio boost, maybe a ticket to New York. But the pitch clashed with my parents' annual Songkran Festival booth, where they expected me to help splash water and honor Thai roots. My mom texted, "Nathaphon, we need you. It's our heritage." I was torn. The pitch was my future. The festival was their soul. I tried compromising, set up the booth, skipped the rituals, but my dad shut me down. "You will be there," he said, voice unyielding. I lied, claiming a school project. My mom sounded skeptical, but my dad was too busy with the booth to argue. I hated the lie, but I needed this shot. The pitch day, I stood in Zara's apartment arranging my samples, silk jackets, sarong pants. My phone buzzed with my mom's texts. "Songkran starting, where are you?" I muted it, nerves frayed. Zara drove me to Style Haven, a vibrant loft with racks of indie designs. I pitched my collection, Thai textiles, urban edge. Lila and her team nodded, impressed. "This is fresh," she said. "Send us a proposal, we might fund it." I left soaring, like I'd sown my destiny. But my high unraveled when I checked my phone. A voicemail from my dad, voice raw. "You lied, Nate. A monk saw you at that loft. You're no son of ours." Someone from the festival must have spotted me. I looked at Zara, who'd heard it. "You're in trouble," she said. I stayed at her place, too scared to face them. Next morning, my mom texted, "You've heard us, Nathaphon. Come home." Guilt surged, but so did defiance. They'd never backed my designs. Why beg? I worked on my proposal, but my parents' faces haunted every sketch. Then my Agern, Precha, called. "I'm not judging," he said, "but your dad's struggling. He's quiet, not himself. They miss you, Nate." His words shook me. I'd been so mad I hadn't seen their pain. "They want a tooth puller, not me," I said. "They're scared," he said. "Talk to them." I hung up, his words clinging like loose thread. Scared? My dad, the dentist who built a clinic from nothing? It didn't fit, but it stayed. That night, I sketched a softer design, a Thai silk shirt with temple motifs. Zara saw it. "That's home, Nate," she said. "That's you." I didn't know a crisis was looming, one that would force me to face my family and a truth that would re-thread our bond. I thought chasing my designs would stitch my life together, but it tore it apart. Every sketch I drew carried my parents' absence. my dad's fury, my mom's tears. I was Nate, weaving my vision, but also Nathaphon, the son who'd frayed his family's pride. I stayed at Zara's, her couch my refuge. "You can't hide forever," her mom said, handing me coffee. She was right, but my dad's words, "You're no son of ours," cut too deep to go back. I drowned in work to cope. Style Haven loved my pitch, and Lila pushed for a full proposal. My night market video hit 60,000 views, with comments like, "This guy's designs are dope," and "Thai fashion king." Zara hyped me, but success felt threadbare. My parents hadn't called, and little Thailand's gossip, Somchai's rebellious boy, stung their honor. Then came a shock. I got a text from my Ajarn. "Precha, Nate, your dad's in the hospital. Chest pain. Jackson Memorial now." My heart sank. My dad was 52, steady, drilling teeth daily. It didn't add up. Zara drove me through Miami's heat, my mind racing. His angry shout, my lies, the festival I'd ditched. At the hospital, my mom sat in the waiting room, face pale, hands twisting. She hugged me, trembling. "He's stable," she said. "Stress, possible angina, they're testing." Guilt crushed me. "Is it me?" I asked, voice breaking. She shook her head, but her eyes betrayed her. Precha pulled me aside. "It's not just you," he said. "The clinic's struggling, and your fights hit them hard. They miss you, Nate." His words landed like a loose seam. I'd been so caught up in my needle, I hadn't seen their hurt. "Can I see him?" I asked. My mom nodded, leading me to his room. My dad lay in bed, wired to monitors, looking worn, smaller, his eyes softened. "Nathaphon," he said, voice weak. "You came." "I'm sorry," I choked, tears falling. "I didn't mean this." "Not your fault," he said, wincing. "I was too hard. I thought I was protecting you." I wanted to spill, how fashion was my pulse, how I felt trapped, but I just held his hand, his skin rough from years of work. My mom watched, eyes wet. For a moment I felt hope, like we could mend this. But the next day, my dad was grumpier, snapping at nurses about bland curry. He was still him, stubborn, but alone. He said, "Nate, we need to talk about why I pushed you. It's not what you think." I braced for a lecture, but a doctor interrupted, discussing tests. My dad shut down, the moment lost. I left confused, his words nagging. Not what I think? What was he hiding? At Zara's, I worked on my proposal, adding Thai temple motifs to my designs. Lila loved it. "This is your soul," she said. The co-op set a funding meeting, but it clashed with my dad's hospital discharge dinner, a family gathering Precha was hosting. My mom texted, "He needs you, Nathaphon." I was split. The meeting was my shot. My dad's pain was my fault. I told Lila, expecting her to push the pitch. "Family's thread," she said. "We'll wait." I paced Zara's room, replaying my dad's words. "Not what you think." Precha had hinted at something too. I called him. "Your dad's been off, he said, talking about his past in Bangkok. Ask him, Nate." I didn't want to, scared of what I'd hear, but it clung like a stubborn stitch. The meeting loomed, the dinner called, and my parents' secret felt like a shadow over every pattern. I had to choose, my designs or my family. I didn't know one truth would re-sew our bond. I was tangled between my needle and my roots. The Style Haven funding meeting pulling me toward my dream, my dad's hospital bed stitching me to home. His words, "It's not what you think," lingered, hinting at a secret I couldn't unravel. I wanted to sow my future, but Precha's voice echoed, "Your dad's been off." I didn't know one truth would rethread my family's story, and my own. The day before the meeting, I was at Zara's, finalizing my proposal, my mind frayed. My mom's text burned, "Your dad's home tomorrow. Be there, Nathaphon." Zara caught me staring at it. "Go, Nate," she said. You'll regret it. She was right. My new designs with temple motifs had stirred something. I couldn't move forward without facing them. I texted my mom I'd come for my dad's homecoming. She replied, "Thank you." I didn't mention the meeting. Tu nodded. Lila was understanding when I asked for a delay. "Family first," she said. "We'll reschedule." As I packed, I felt like I was risking my patterns, but my dad's worn face weighed heavier. Home smelled of lemongrass and memory. Preacha hugged me, whispering, "Be kind." My dad sat in the living room, a blanket over him, looking tired but alert. My mom hovered, eyes soft. "Nathafon," my dad said, voice rough. "You're here." "I had to be," I said, sitting close, hands unsteady. Silence fell, heavy with our fights. I wanted to apologize, but he spoke. "We need to talk," he said, eyes on my mom, "about why I pushed you. It's my past." I braced for blame, but then came the twist, the truth that re-sewed everything. "I was a tailor," he said, voice low. "In Bangkok, in my youth, I designed clothes, silk suits, traditional Fa Nung, for markets and shows. I had a shop, a dream, but my father, your Tata, called it frivolous. When he fell ill, I quit to run his stall, then came to America for you and your mom. I thought I'd moved on, but seeing your designs, it brought it back. I pushed you to dentistry to spare you my regret." I stared, stunned. My dad. A tailor? The man who'd banned my fashion had been like me? "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, tears spilling. "I was ashamed," he said, voice cracking. "I wanted to be strong, to protect you, but I was wrong, Nate. I cut your thread and it broke me." The room blurred. My dad had woven his dream for family, just as I'd fought to keep mine. His rules, my mom's pleas. It was their fear I'd end like him, undone. "I'm sorry," I said, sobbing. "I thought you hated me." "Never," he said, grabbing my hand. "I love you, Nathafon." My mom joined, her arms around us, tears falling. We cried, raw and real, the tear between us mending. I delayed the meeting. Lila rescheduled for spring. I stayed home, helping my dad recover. One night, he showed me old photos, him in a Bangkok market, stitching silk. "You're better than I was," he said, grinning. I laughed, tears in my eyes. My mom watched, softer now, and we talked about his shop, my designs, the dreams we'd folded away. My fashion grew. I blended Thai weaves, ikat, chalk patterns into my streetwear, honoring my roots. I posted a new collection online, hitting 120,000 views, and Little Thailand warmed. Preacha shared it, writing, "Nate's our pride." Style Haven funded my capsule, and my parents came to my runway show, my dad cheering loudest, my mom snapping photos like a pro. I thought I had to choose, style or duty, Thai or me, but my dad's secret showed me I could have both. Roots hold you, threads free you. I'm Nate Chanthavong, designing my truth, carrying my family's love. The runway is mine, but so is home,